Hey, what's up? This is your girl Bright Eyes, and I want to talk about the trade war and what this has to do with the last days, what the Bible explain. The Bible do talk about the trade war in the last days. I've been wanting to do the video, but I needed more information how it makes sense. And now with the trade war, it's going to be easier for me to explain how this fit in book of Revelation. So Revelation, the English Standard Version, 13 to 4. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 demons on its horns and blasphemous name on its head. And the beast that I saw was like leopard, its feet was like a bear, and its mouth was like a lion mouth. And its dragon gave him power, which is the devil, and his throne and great authority. One of his heads seemed to have a mortal wound, and the mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast, and they worshiped the dragon, for he has authority over the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who could fight against it?" And that quote, "Who is like the beast? Who could fight against it?" To me, that's describe America. Who is like the America? Who could fight against it? That is definitely America it is talking about. And another quote, it says, one of his heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed. And the whole earth marveled at they followed the beast, and they worshiped the dragon, for he has given authority to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who could fight against it?" To me, that part is Donald Trump. Remember when he was running for election? Everything was going against him. He was convicted of being a felon. You know, it didn't. It was like everything was going towards the Democrats. And then when he got almost killed, almost shot, and he survived that mortal wound. Cause he's just a regular guy. He's just a man. He survived it. It changed the whole thing. It made people want to even vote for him, or whether they felt sorry for him. When they say, "Wow, look at that. He's a felony just like us criminals." What, this, he could relate to us. Whatever the reason was, the whole thing changed when he almost died from that bullet wound, and everybody did marvel at that. So that's what it's talking about in that quote. And then in the other quote, it says, with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 demons on his horns and blasphemous name on his head. So the 10 horns is talking about 10 countries. The 7 heads is talking about 7 countries. But who are these countries and what it has to do with the trade war? And I'm going to explain. Okay, in the King James Version, Revelation 17, verses 12 to 13. This is further later down the line in Revelation. And the 10 horns which thou saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom yet, but received the power as a king 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So before I give the interpretation of that quote, let's look it up and see what do the word nation means. Nation, a large body of people united by a common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabitant a particular country or territory. Okay, now let's look up the word kingdom, the definition. The definition of kingdom: a politically organized community or major territorial unit having a monarchical form of government headed by a queen or king. Kingdom. So when you refer back in book of Revelation 17, verses 12 to 13, in 13, it says that these 10 kings have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So when it's telling me that they have one mind, the only country I could think like that is a communist country, dictator country. So these 10 nations got to be communist country. So what do a nation means again? A large body of people united by a common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabitant of a particular country or territory. Well, the only countries like that is Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and there are other communist countries, but I'm not sure who are going to be these 10 countries, okay? And what do we think, what is the definition of the word kingdom, right? Kingdom is a political organized community, major territory unit, having monarchy form of government headed by a king or a queen. So you got United States, we have our president, right? You have England, okay? They're run by an organized community politically, right? Headed by a king or a queen. So you have the same policies, just like Australia, just like Canada, right? So just like, so you get what I'm saying, right? And what these countries have in common, they're not communist countries. They are okay with some of the sins that America do. They're in the same line of that. So who are these 7 kingdoms? I figured it out. But the 10 nations, I am not sure who they are. The only ones I could think of is the 10 nations that I'll call out: Russia, North Korea, China, Iran. Those are the only communist countries I could think of, but and some of the Middle East countries is going to be up there with them, but I'm not sure which one it is that will form the 10 nations. So how this is affecting the trade war, you have a situation where you're seeing right now is the 10 kingdoms forming. You're seeing the president of China going to all these mostly communist countries to build an alliance. He went to Vietnam. He's going to Singapore. He's making some agreement with Japan. And what these 10 nations have, the majority of the people is one race. The majority of the people have history. They trying to keep repeating this, so we will still be here. We are a 5-year-old country. They take pride of that. They're not 5 years old, 5,000-year-old country, and they take a lot of pride in that. So think about that. Russia is an old country, right? So is China. So is Iran. What countries are that old, making it these 10 nations, right? And then you have America, who's not even 1,000 years old. And you have England, they're not that old. And you have Canada, they're not that old. And you have Australia, and they're not that old. And you have Israel, and they're not that old. And they're making the seven kingdoms. Wow, right? Wow. And now what you're seeing is you see the situation with the BRICS and America currency. So what's going to end up happening, 10 nations is going to form the BRICS, and you're going to see 7 kingdoms that's going to form together with America and make one currency. America cannot do this by itself. What's going to end up happening? There's not going to be individual currencies. We're going to have 2 currencies fighting each other. You're going to have the BRICS, and you're going to have the 7 kingdoms that's going to join America to take on the currency until we get one global currency, which is the Antichrist. But right now, you're seeing the trade war. So who do I think is these 7 countries? 7 countries that make up the kingdom. I really believe in my heart these 10 nations have to be dictator communist countries. And you see how they formed the BRICS. And there's 2 countries that doesn't take the characteristics of a dictatorship or a communist country. There is oppression in their country like every other country, but they don't act like China and North Korea and Iran. They don't act like those nations. And that is India. And that is Brazil. And that is South Africa. I don't think they will join the BRICS. I think what's going to happen is Brazil, India, South Africa is going to join America eventually. There is a bit rivalry between India and China, and India and Pakistan. There's rivalry. And India was not happy that the BRICS want Pakistan to join them. So I see India moving away from the BRICS. But I could be wrong. And I understand why India will want to join the BRICS, because they're in the middle of Russia and China. You understand me? So I could see why they will want to join the BRICS. But India also got to make a choice. Either they stay with the BRICS or they stay with America. And I feel India will join America because they're not a communist country. I feel Brazil will join America because they're not a communist country, and Brazil do not like Venezuela, which is a communist country. Okay, they don't fit the characteristics of a nation, because India doesn't fit the characteristic of the nation because the way they run their country, they run it similar to America. That is why. And so does Brazil. And who else run their country similar to America? South Africa run their country similar to America too. So I don't think eventually they will pull away from the BRICS. If they still with the BRICS, they will eventually pull away from the BRICS and join America. That's what I'm going to believe is going to end up happening. So who are these 10? I don't know the 10 nations. I gave you an idea. They're definitely going to be China, North Korea. I this is where I think that this is where I think the 10 nations going to be. It's definitely going to be Russia, China, North Korea, okay, um, Iran, okay, maybe Japan. That might join the 10 nations, and maybe and North Korea and South Korea. I believe in that prophecy. So celestials say it's going to become one country. That's why they had like martial law, because they were trying to join as one country. So South Korea may join with North Korea. Okay, so Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Japan. So that's 5 nations. I don't know who's the other nations. Maybe Saudi Arabia. I'm gonna put SA, Saudi Arabia. But I don't know who's gonna be the other 4. It could be Venezuela. It could be Pakistan. I don't know who's gonna be the other 5 nations. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure. You know, who's gonna be this is who I'm going to believe is going to be the 7th kingdom. I was listening to this psychic. I don't know his name. He's like a British psychic. I just found out about him this week. And he says something. Let me see if I could let me see if I find him on the YouTube channel. If I find him, I'll mention him. Let me see, I'll find him. Find the name of the psychic. He's like a British psychic. But he was talking about how Trump and I think Prince Williams were talking about making some alliance with the English speaking countries, and because I want to know who are these 7 countries, 7 kingdoms, and that makes sense. And who are these English speaking countries that they're talking about? So I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be the 7th kingdom. England, America, Australia, India, Canada, South Africa, and Israel. These are all 7 speaking countries. So I believe these countries is going to form an alliance together to fight the currency with the Brits. So I believe eventually, because of the way India and South Africa and Brazil run their country, I believe they're going to leave. But I believe this is going to form the alliance with America. I believe they're going to form an alliance with America. So that's who I think is the 7th kingdom. So that is it for now. It's food for thoughts. It's in the book of Revelation talking about, the 10 kingdoms and the 10 nations, I mean to say, and the 7 kingdoms, and we're watching prophecy fulfill in front of our eyes. All right? So I guess that's it. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.